Welcome the students of class 8, welcome back to our social science history class, and today in this class we are going to discuss the next subunit. It is the happenings of 1922 to 1929. So you have already read in previous class that how did Mahatma Gandhi led successfully the non-cooperation movement, Rowlatt Satyagraha, and also merged the Khilafat movement with the non-cooperation movement. Now today we are going to discuss about the next incidents. That Mahatma Gandhi, as you know, was against the violent movements, and he arguably called off the non-cooperation movement when February in 1922 a crowd of peasants set fire to a police station, and it was said that 22 policemen were burned inside and killed on that day, but it was not proven yet. So there are some confusion among the historians that it was happened actually, that policemen were killed or not, but they set fire on the police station, it is true, but it was true. And listening about this painful incident, the Mahatma Gandhi ordered to stop the movement, because his movements mainly based on non-violence, and whenever this kind of violent activity occurred, he then and there stopped the movement. And the peasants were provoked because the police had fired on their peaceful demonstration, so that's why this incident happened. Once the non-cooperation movement was over, Gandhiji's followers, now they stressed that the Congress must undertake constructive work in the rural areas, and other leaders such as Chittaranjan Das and Motilal Nehru argued that the party should fight elections to the council and enter them in order to influence government policies. They understood that until and unless we will participate inside the government, it will not be benefited for the Indians. And through sincere social work in villages in the mid 1920s, the Gandhians were able to extend their support base. Due to various social work activities in the village areas, the Gandhian supporters, the Congress members, now they gathered a public support base, and this proved to be very useful in launching the civil disobedience movement. It will be very important. Next movement, it is in 1930, it will be launched. So what happened? Two important developments worked between 1920s and 1930s, that were the formation of RSS, Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh. You know that it is a very famous organization. It was formed in between this period. It was said to be formed in 1925. And another important political party also formed at the time. It is the Communist Party of India. CPI, Communist Party of India. In the same year, these two parties, it is a social organization, and it is also a political party also formed based on the communist ideas that was very much popular after the Russian Revolution. So RSS and CPI, these two formed between 1920s and 1930s, a major change in the politics of India. And these parties have held very different ideas about the kingdom of country India should be. First out about their ideas with the help of your teacher, the revolutionary nationalist Bhagat Singh too was active in this period. And the decade closed with the Congress resolving to fight for Purna Swaraj, complete independence, in 1929 under the presidency of Jawaharlal Nehru. On the Lahore Congress, it was decided that Congress will go for Purna Swaraj, or complete independence, not dominion status and power, that everything will be controlled by the Governor General and the Crown herself, but the people of India could form a parliamentarian system, and they can form law or this type of thing, law and rule their people. So this is at a dominions. This is called a dominion status. But they went for the Swaraj, Purna Swaraj, complete freedom. So what happened? How did this complete idea of complete Swaraj was achieved? Now, next movement that was organized, that was arranged by and organized by Gandhiji, it is the civil disobedience movement. That Purna Swaraj would never come in its own, it had to be fought for, they understood. And in 1930, Gandhiji declared that he would lead a march to break the salt law. According to this law, the state had a monopoly on the manufacture and sale of salt previously. Now, Mahatma Gandhi, along with the other nationalists, they reasoned that it was sinful to tax salt since it is such an essential commodity. Even the poor people don't have anything to purchase. They ate rice and salt. So it is an essential item for food, and Salt March related the general desire of freedom to a specific grievance shared by everybody. It is a symbolic thing that salt is also taxed by the British government. So if we break the salt tax, it's not giving the salt tax and break the salt rule, then it will also help them. Okay, students.